All right, welcome. You know when you're writing Java code and you have to track a fixed set of things, like, say, the status of something? You've probably used strings or integers for that, right? But you've also probably wondered, isn't there a better way? Well, you're in luck, because there is. It's called an enum. Today, we're going to dive deep into this really cool feature and see how it can make your code way cleaner, much safer, and a whole lot easier to read. Okay, let's kick things off with a super common situation. Picture this. You're building an application and you need to keep track of a server status. It can only be in a few possible states, right? Like it's either running or it failed, maybe it's pending, or hey, maybe it was a success. So the big question is, how do you actually represent that in your code? So you might think, I'll just use strings. And you could. But what happens when you accidentally type running with one N? Whoops, the compiler isn't going to help you there. It'll just let that bug slip right through. Then you have option 2, integers. Maybe you say 2 means pending, but what does 2 mean to someone else reading your code, or even to you 6 months from now? These are what we call magic numbers, and they make your code a real headache to understand. There has to be a better way, for sure. And there absolutely is. This is where the hero of our story comes in, the Java Enum. It's designed to solve this exact problem, giving us a really clean and safe solution. So what in the world is an enum? Well, the name's just short for enumeration. Think of it like this. It's a special kind of data type where you get to define a fixed, unchangeable set of values. It's like you're creating your own little universe of options for a variable, and it can only be one of those options, nothing else. And you know what? Making one is super, super simple. All you do is use the enum keyword, give it a name, we'll call ours status, and then inside the curly braces, you just list out your constants. We usually write them in all caps just by convention, and that's it. It's literally that easy. Okay, so now that we've made it, how do we use it? Well, you just declare a variable with your new type, status, and then you can assign it one of your predefined values, like status.running. Just look at how clean that is. It reads almost like plain English. There's zero confusion about what's happening. But here is the real magic. This is the game changer. What if you try to assign a value that just doesn't exist? Something like status.no idea. Bam, your code won't even compile. That's what we call type safety, and it is a massive advantage. The compiler basically becomes your personal bodyguard, stopping those annoying little typo bugs right at the door. All right, so we've got the basics down, but this is where things get really interesting. See, a Java enum has kind of like a secret identity. It's not just a simple list of names. Oh no, it's so much more powerful than that. And here's the secret. In Java, an enum is actually a class. Let that sink in for a second. It's not just some primitive type or a list. It's a full-blown special kind of class. And that means each of those constants we defined, running, failed, pending, they're all individual objects of that class. This is the key to unlocking their true power. So your next logical question should be, wait, if it's a class, does that mean it has methods? And the answer is a big, resounding yes, it does. And these methods are incredibly useful. Let's check out one of the handiest built-in methods, ordinal. It's pretty simple. It just gives you the position of a constant in the list where you declared it, starting from 0. Yeah, just like an index in an array. So if you look at our status enum, running was the first one we listed, so its ordinal is 0. Failed was second, so its ordinal is 1. Pending is 2, and success is 3. It's just the order they appear in. This can be super useful for all sorts of things, maybe if you need to store them in a database or do some sorting. Okay, working with one status at a time is great, but what if you need to work with all of them? For instance, what if you wanted to show every possible status in a drop-down menu on a website? How would you get that list? Now, you could just type them all out by hand somewhere in your code, but that's a really bad idea. Why? Because what happens when you add a new status later? You have to hunt down that list and update it manually. It's just asking for trouble. Thankfully, there's a much, much smarter way. The solution is a fantastic built-in method called values. It's a static method, which means you call it directly on the enum class itself, like status.values, and what it does is it hands you back a nice, neat array with every single one of your constants in it, in the exact order you defined them. So convenient. And this makes looping through them an absolute breeze. It's a simple 3-step process. Step 1, call values to get the array. Step 2, set up a for each loop to go through that array. And step 3, inside the loop, You can grab each constant and do whatever you want with it. And once you're inside that loop, each constant is a full object, remember? So you can access all its properties. For example, here we're just printing out its name and its ordinal value. It's such a clean, powerful way to handle all of your constants at once. All right, we've gone through a lot, so let's kind of zoom out and wrap this all up. What's the big takeaway here? Why should you really care about using enums in your own code? It really comes down to three huge benefits. First up is type safety. The compiler has your back, making sure you can only use the values you defined. That just wipes out a whole category of potential bugs. Second, readability. Let's be honest, code that says status equals status.success is a million times clearer than status equals 3. And finally, maintainability. If you need to change your statuses, add one, remove one, you do it in one single spot. That's it. It makes your life so much easier down the road. You know, this quote really hits the nail on the head. It's all about using clear, named constants instead of confusing numbers or fragile strings. It just makes everything about your work a little bit easier. So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Think about the code you're working on right now. Where can you use an enum to clean things up? I bet there are places where you're using those magic numbers or strings for things that have a fixed set of values. Those are the perfect spots to swap in a clean, safe, and super readable enum. Thanks for tuning in.